Are you a family caregiver? Are you caregiving for someone who can no longer take care of themselves? Are you overwhelmed? This is Caregiver Solutions Info with Marcia Teele. Marcia will be hosting an hour of true stories and information, tips and updates of the latest research and necessary information in the caregiving field, focusing on you, the family caregiver. An Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert, Marcia has 15 years of hands-on experience at Arden Courts, a leader in assisted living dementia communities here in the U.S. Marcia covers everything you need to know as a family caregiver, especially if you care for a loved one with Alzheimer's disease or other related dementia or chronic illness. If you have a friend or relative that is also a family caregiver, call them now. They won't want to miss a minute. And let them know they can watch on caregiversolutions.info. And they can listen on WNN 1470 AM in South Florida or nationally on the iHeartRadio app. Now, sit back, relax, and learn from our host, Marcia Teele, as she brings information to you that may just be the caregiving solution you need.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Caregiver Solutions Info. I'm so glad you could join us today, whether you're listening on the local radio station or whether you're joining us on the website, caregiversolutions.info. I'm glad that you could be with us today. We have another wonderful show for you. This is the program for you, the family caregiver. If you're caring for someone with memory loss, then this show is for you to help you with information that could make your caregiving challenges a little bit better. And so tune in every week because every week is something different, whether it's experts in the field of various topics related to caregiving, related to dementia, or whether it's actual caregivers joining us to tell their story. You'll not want to miss a one. We are live from Boca Raton, Florida, and I want to let you know that if you have a question, if you have a comment, or if you have a suggestion of something that you would like us to address on this program, you can send me an email and we'll make it happen. So the email address to reach me is delray@arden-courts.com. I'll say it again, Delray, DELRAY, at Arden, ARDEN, -courts.com. So send me an email. I'll be very happy to hear from you. We've got wonderful comments and some questions from some of our viewers, and I'd like to hear from you too. So last week on our show, we talked to some social workers about the various feelings that caregivers face every day and how their feelings affect their caregiving. And we went into lots of different emotions and how these emotions affect not only the caregiver, but also the person they're caring for. Well, today we actually have with us an actual family caregiver and her father who has some memory loss, and they're going to be sharing their story about how memory loss has affected their lives, how it has changed the course of their life, and how they cope with that. So I'm very excited to introduce to you Celia and her father, Bill. Hi, Celia. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Marcia.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Well, I'm so glad that you came to talk to us because, Bill, this is very important. And I know that, you have some memory loss. Your brain doesn't always work as well as you would want it to. And a lot of people, suffer from the same exact thing. And for you to come and share with us and talk about that, I think it's wonderful. And you're going to help a lot of people. And Celia, thank you as a family caregiver, as a daughter. You're in the trenches too. And we're going to be talking about all of this, a little bit about your life, about what happened in your life and what's going on in your life now. But before we begin, I'd like to ask you a few questions, Bill, so we can get to know you a little bit better. Is that okay?
Please.
Okay, great. So first of all, I know that you are a fellow Buckeye like me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so we're both from Ohio. I love that. First time I met you and we connected that way, so that's great. Now, I have another question. Is it okay if I ask you how young you are?
I'm almost 65.
Almost 65. Okay. So we talked previously before we opened up the show because Bill sometimes does have a lapse in memory. His daughter Celia has agreed to jump in. So if, Bill doesn't remember something or I don't remember something, Celia's going to set us straight and help us along the way.
Yeah.
So
Next month, he's going to be celebrating your 75th birthday.
wow, Bill, 75?
We're going to have a party.
Were you just trying to be a younger man and telling me you were 65? Because,
Because you're so young looking.
That's right, because I'm single and, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 75 years old, that's amazing. Do you feel like you're 75 years old?
No.
No? Well, you don't look it either.
Thank you.
That's a good thing, right?
Right.
Well, that's wonderful. So I have some questions because I'd like to get to know you a little bit better. I mean, I've known you for several years, and I've known Celia for several years also. But I don't know a lot of things about you that I think would be interesting to know about your history before we get to the place where we're going to be talking about some of the issues that you're having with your brain. So you grew up in Ohio, right? And did you go to college? Were you able to go away to college?
No.
No.
I just went into teaching.
Okay. So you went into teaching, and you were teaching in high school?
Yes.
Okay. So somewhere in there before you got to teach, you must have gotten a teacher's certificate from a college somewhere along the way. Celia might remember.
Yeah, you went to Ohio State.
Go Buckeyes.
You remember that? Ohio State?
I remember Ohio State. The Air Force gave me a choice. Well, they have a program for people in the Air Force to apply for college, and they give four subscriptions a year.
Scholarships.
So you
Right?
could pick which classes you wanted to take, what you were interested in?
No, I was interested in the intelligence field.
Wow.
Okay.
So when you went into the armed services, what branch did you pick? Did you get to go to the Army, Navy, Air Force?
I went in the Army.
And did you enjoy being in the Army?
Yes, I did. Because I got into the intelligence field.
That's a pretty tough area to get into, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think you...
Requirements are pretty high.
Yes. Wow. And though, did you stay in the Army a long time?
4 years.
4 years, okay. And then did you continue with your military career after that, or did you leave?
I switched to the reserve.
All right, that's
Okay.
a good thing. Mm-hmm. And
In the Air Force, correct?
so you were in the Air Force too?
No, I was in the Air Force reserve.
Okay. So when you were in the service, did you actually participate in any of our battles, our wars, our conflicts?
I went to Germany, learned German when I was there, and walked the Czech border. And what I was studying was the types of radars that were working in Czechoslovakia.
So what did you have to do about radars? Did you have to locate them?
Had to locate them, locate the frequencies, locate the not only the frequencies, but the radars that they use.
That was a pretty dangerous job, it sounds like.
No, because nobody knew you were doing it.
Oh, so it was sort of like a secret mission?
Covert?
Covert operation?
Depending on where we went on top of one mountain, and right behind us was a Soviet sedan.
What happened?
He wanted to know what we were doing up there. And one of our NCOs just, get out of here. You don't have any business up here.
And he just left just like that?
And they left, yeah.
Wow.
We were up there about 6 months.
Wow, that's a long time. You're sort of isolated then, weren't you?
Yeah, well, we had 2 radios with us. So we sent a radio transmit every day of what we found.
And that way people knew you were okay, too, because you
Yes.
let them know by radio transmit. Celia, when you were growing up, did you hear all these stories from your dad?
No, when I was growing up, he was doing 3 tours in Vietnam with the Air Force. So he was flying a lot of missions out of Korea, right? And over Vietnam. And he was on the B-52. So
Wow.
he did
And the B-52 was not as bad as it sounds because you were 57,000 feet up in the air and doing the same thing, reading the radars.
So you were way up high, away from all the ground action. So you felt safer up in the sky?
No, because that's where the brain problem came from. We dropped bombs,
Oh,
50,000
wow.
bombs at a time, and they exploded on all sides of the airplane,
Oh.
above it, below it.
So that you think that's probably part of the problem with the brain problem?
When they did the study, they told Celia.
He has 50% hearing loss in each ear from listening to all the radio frequencies from being in the planes, because he would listen for the different radio signals and help them stay away from the enemy planes.
Wow, that's an important job. And thank you, by the way, for your service, because without you and your troops and your team, we wouldn't be where we are today.
We had a gunner on the rear end of the model I flew, so he had that to defend us too if someone were after us. We had 2 pilots, 2 navigators, the gunner, and myself. I think that was the 6 people we had.
Wow, a lot of memories, from that, because you, from what I understand, you were what they call a lifer, because you stayed actually in the military for about 30 years, didn't you?
Yes.
Long time. Wow. So you made a career out of it.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So you had your career, you were in the service.
The hardest thing about that,
Yes.
I went through 7 wives.
You went through 7 wives?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, tell me about...
I may be 75.
But you had 7 wives. I'm curious about that, Bill.
But the hardest thing about it is not on the serviceman. It's on the wife. She has to take care of the kids, pay the bills, worry about her husband overseas.
It's a big job for the wife staying at home. You're right. It's hard.
Yeah.
So because of that, are you saying that a lot of times wives get tired of waiting and doing that and they leave? Is that why you have to find another one? Is that what happened? Well,
My best wife, the one that she grew up with, was a neighbor. I mean, she and I were that big when we met.
because you were young when you met.
I used to climb the fence in her backyard to get buckeyes. She had a buckeye tree in her backyard.
Wow.
Celia didn't know about that.
No.
I bet she didn't know about a lot of things, but she might be learning a few things today on this program when we're talking to you, Bill.
Yeah.
We might be giving away some secrets here.
Well, she had 6 boys that Celia may know about, too.
Okay, so you had several wives. Now, if somebody didn't know you, they might say, well, how could somebody have 7 wives, right? That's a lot.
The first one I met was at a USO dance in San Francisco.
Close, Sacramento. Very close. You were stationed at Mathers Air Force Base in California, in Sacramento. That's where you met my mom, Judy.
Okay.
Okay, and you were
Yeah.
dancing at the USO?
Yes.
Yeah,
They
sounds
met
like...
at a dance.
Well, good. And then after Judy, you had several other. Bill, you're a ladies' man. I mean, you're very handsome. You've got blue eyes. People that aren't watching us right now on the internet, but they're listening on the radio. I have to tell them how handsome you are. You're like a silver fox. You've got the silver, beautiful hair and the baby blue eyes, and you're wearing a baby blue shirt. You're very handsome. I can see why you might have 7 wives.
Keep talking.
Well, he was married, excuse me, 7 times, but during Vietnam, when you kept going overseas, he and my mom were married and divorced 3 times. And there was one other wife in between there. So it was one of them, it was the same person
3 times. Bill, you couldn't make up your mind whether you wanted to be with her or not.
I wanted to, but staying home by herself, worrying about the kids, 6 kids, mine and hers. She had 6 boys, too.
Wow. So you changed your mind 3 times. That's good. You must have learned how to negotiate in the military.
A little bit.
Next time I go to negotiate something, I think I'm going to take you with me.
The one I'm married to right now is an Irish woman.
Wow.
We met on St. Patrick's Day dance, and we talked for 3 hours
Wow.
in Irish
Wow.
because I had been in Ireland, and I learned Irish over there when I was walking the border.
So you impressed her with your, suave.
Well, we talk in Irish.
Now, how long ago was that you met your current wife? About how long ago was that?
6 months.
6 months ago? Okay.
Yeah.
Celia, do you remember exactly when that was?
No.
Well, he moved, when he moved into our building, he met Cynthia, and that was about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
That they first met, and
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
We met in Germany. She was an escapee from the Russian side. She was born in Latvia and then escaped from Russia down to Germany.
Wow. What was it? What's her name again?
Cynthia.
Cynthia. What was it about Cynthia that attracted you to?
Irish
Just because you like Irish. Okay.
She has blue eyes.
Ah, okay.
And she liked me.
Yes, she does like you.
You know, a lot of people like you. I can see why. I definitely can see why. So now let's back up a little bit. Now you're in the service and you're in between your wives and you're getting married, you're getting divorced, you're getting married, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, finally, you're out of the service and you retired or you went to teaching? You went to teaching?
No, I'm not out of the service.
Oh, you're not?
She's got me in for life.
No, you're retired now.
Okay, you're retired now.
You're retired.
So when you retired, I know Celia lived in Florida for many years, and you lived in Georgia.
I live in a prison in Florida.
Okay.
There's a bunch of people like me.
That have the problem with the brain? Yeah. And you know what? Unfortunately, we don't know always why that happens, why people have problems with the brain. There's lots of different...
We do.
You do?
We do. All those bombs. We carried 20,000 bombs, and they all went out outside the airplane, right, and you were right in the middle
and you
of
were
it.
affected by that. That's wow. And other people, there's different reasons why their brain doesn't always work as well, and other people also have some memory loss. My grandmother had memory loss. I think my mother may be on the verge too. So I think that's why it's important for someone as yourself who is experiencing it to share that, because other people might learn from something you have to say, and they might learn about what they need to know and how they can deal with it. And I really think it's great that you're here and Celia's here to share about that.
Our building is full of people like that.
Yes, and they need help, right? That they need help.
But they're all different.
Yes,
they're all different.
They're all
they all
different.
have different. Not everyone can talk as well as you and walk as well as you. You're in good shape, aren't you?
And we're talking about assisted living. Bill does live at Arden Courts, and Celia actually works at Arden Courts, and I get to see both of them every day that I'm at work, and so we do have a nice relationship because Bill and I have coffee together.
Are you talking to a camera?
I am. I'm talking to that camera because sometimes people are watching us on the internet, so I'm telling them how I know you.
Okay.
And, I'm letting them know how I know you. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more with Bill and Celia about Bill's memory problem, what caused it, how it affects him, and let him tell his story. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live, it's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. Make First Choice your first choice for home health care. First Choice is state certified for Medicare-covered services such as medical treatment and rehabilitation. Qualified healthcare professionals come to your home and work closely with your doctor to build a care plan designed to get you back on your feet as soon as possible. Founded and operated by registered nurses, First Choice Home Health is dedicated to providing exceptional home health care. Their highly skilled medical professionals have the knowledge and ability to provide patients quality care. Call First Choice Home Health at 561-296-2770. That's 561-296-2770. And tell them you want them as your first choice. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
I'd like to thank our local sponsor and also our national sponsor, Arden Court's Memory Care Community, for helping to make this program possible. Arden Courts has about 53 communities all across the United States, and they're one of the experts in the field with providing expert care to people that have memory loss. And so if you're interested in finding out more about them, you can give them a call on their toll-free number. While you call them on their toll-free number, you might want to ask them about the 36-hour day book. This is a book that Arden Courts would like to provide to you, the family caregiver, free of charge, so that you can learn more about caregiving. This is an excellent book written by Dr. Peter Rabins, and it's considered the go-to book for learning about caregiving, different types of dementia, behaviors, challenges. If you'd like to have this book for free, all you have to do is give Arden Courts a call. Their toll-free number is 888-478-2410. That's 888-478-2410. Tell them you heard about this offer on the Caregiver Solutions Info Show, and they'll be sure to get your name and address and mail you out one right away. So we're back here with Celia and her father, Bill. Hi again.
Hello.
Hi.
And Bill has memory loss, and we're talking about his memory loss. Bill is 75, and he is living down here now in Florida. His daughter is actually here too, and we're going to be talking about what prompted Bill to move from his last home in Georgia, where he lived independently, to come to Florida. So let's talk about that, because I know that, Bill, you went through your military career. You did have some issues with the bombing and affected your hearing, and you feel that it had to do a lot with your memory loss. What happened when Bill was in Georgia, Celia, that prompted perhaps you to be concerned about him?
Well, about 6 years ago, actually, in July, it'll be 6 years since he had a kidney transplant. And the night of the surgery, the nurses came in and they asked me, "Does your dad have dementia?" And that was the first time anyone had asked a question like that. But he had woken up and he thought that he had, that the surgery hadn't happened yet, and he was trying to find me, and they were having a hard time getting him back into bed.
No, this was in Georgia?
This was in Georgia.
Okay.
Almost 6 years ago.
Okay.
And after that, I think if he had had memory problems before that or had been getting forgetful, he hadn't been sharing it. So
you didn't really have any idea?
No, that was the first time I had heard about it.
Okay.
So after that, I still didn't really know for a while, but then he would send me an email or call me and say, "Hey, I was waiting for you all weekend. I thought you were coming to visit," when I hadn't had plans to come visit that weekend.
You just wanted to see her, didn't you, Bill? You just wanted
Yeah.
to get her to come up to Georgia to see you.
She's the only member of the family that kept contact with me.
Well, that's
Yeah.
because she's wonderful. I know Celia. She's a wonderful girl. So you were kind of seeing some things that were not kind of right.
Yeah, that were a little off.
Mm-hmm.
But then 3 years ago, or actually about 3.5 years ago, he had a habit of, he would always walk his dogs at night, which was typical. He had done that for forever. And he lived in a very safe area, but there were a lot of woods and little ponds around where he lived. He had 5 acres of land. It was beautiful, but not a lot of light at night. And he went out to walk the dog, and he fell, and he hit his head. And they found him and took him to the hospital, and he had to have some procedures done to relieve the swelling in his brain.
Okay. So
And-
pressure on the brain.
Yeah. So from that, he started to show a lot more symptoms of memory loss. And then he did go home again after that, and the same thing happened, but it was much worse.
Okay. Another fall.
Another fall, another brain injury. And after that point, my stepmother, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Bill, you got to quit falling. It's not a good thing.
Yes. But after that, my stepmother decided she couldn't have him come home again because she was worried, and I understandably so, that he would continue to do the same thing, go
Right.
out at night by himself with the dog. And, it was a miracle that they found him the second time. The dog actually led my stepmother and the neighbors to him out in the
Dog
woods.
was this big,
Yeah, little tiny dog.
A little dog. Wow.
but he
Helped
barked
save
and
him.
barked and barked.
So the dog saved you by
Yes.
barking until someone came and wanted to know what was happening.
and,
Yeah.
and Peggy came and got a helicopter to.
Yes, they had to airlift him up to Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah, from the small town where they lived.
Okay. So your stepmother felt that maybe, it would be better where he could be closer to you to keep a better eye on
Well,
him?
at that point, he was in, excuse me, he was in the hospital and then went to a rehab facility in Roberta, Georgia. And he was there for about 6 months. And she was afraid that if she went to visit him, she wouldn't be able to say no when he wanted to come home. So she had decided to let him stay in that facility. And when I went up there to visit, it was a small facility, and it was probably, he would walk from one end of the building to the other end of the building down this straight hallway, and that was about all there was for him to do. And he was very understandably upset, depressed. Do you remember that at all?
The only place I could exercise, and I've always exercised, was this hallway, 40 feet long and 20 feet the other way. So I'd walk
Yeah.
it every night.
And that was all
Just
you had
back
to
and forth all
do.
day long.
Oh, wow.
That's all he did.
Not very much going on there, was there?
No.
Okay.
So after I went up to visit him, I went and asked his wife if I could bring him to Florida to be down here.
She came to see me. Peggy was only 20 miles away, and she would never come.
Well,
Well, it was
there's lots
hard.
of reasons why people don't always come when we expect them, and we don't always know all those reasons. But I'm glad that you're here now and that you're here with Celia, because I know that she cares very much for you, about you, and concerned for you. And
Oh, she's got everybody in the hospital. Where's your walker?
You're not going to fall again, are you?
yeah,
Where's your walker?
where's your walker? You got to use that walker because they don't want you falling again and hitting that brain anymore. So after you had these falls and you had to be airlifted to the hospital and you had some surgery done.
See, I didn't know any of that happened.
Yes. And after it happened, it affected your memory more. Did you notice any changes in what you were able to do after that?
No.
No, you didn't notice anything different? Okay. Celia, did you notice anything different?
Well, yeah, he used to read a lot, and he doesn't enjoy reading so much anymore. And he used to watch sports every day, any kind of sports, football, baseball,
now I
basketball.
can't even find it on the channel.
Yeah,
You mean it's hard for you to use the remote control? Is that what you mean?
yeah,
I can't find the channel.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like Cleveland won the other night, and she was all excited. And you didn't see that? No.
Yeah. So, well, it was on a little bit past your normal bedtime, so you might have fallen asleep, because I know it was on at the building, but I think you were probably asleep.
Yeah. So, what I think is interesting, Bill, that you had a couple major falls and you had some surgery. You had blood on the brain, pressure on your brain. They had to relieve that pressure because it does affect memory. And you don't remember that. But there's something else that I think is major that the two of you shared that I'm not sure if you remember it, but I think Celia can tell the story. There was a problem with, was it your kidneys?
Yeah, he had a kidney transplant about 6 years ago. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Now you do? Yeah. It was.
What happened? Can you tell me what happened with that?
It was caused by diabetes.
Oh, okay.
I was in the hospital for a week while they switched.
Yes.
They switched. Yeah. What did they switch?
Hers for mine.
Yes.
So Celia gave you one of her kidneys? Wow. That is really special.
So how many so he's got 3 now, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, they left his in, so now he has 3 kidneys.
I didn't know you could keep 3.
Yeah. Yep.
And you have
3.
1?
Yes.
Okay. So isn't that amazing that your daughter was a perfect match for you and gave you one of her kidneys so that yours could function?
She's terrific.
Yes, she is. She is. Now, so you told me a few days ago that Bill didn't remember having the kidney swap.
No, he didn't. Some days he does, and others. This morning he told a story about how we found a kitten, and that was about 14 years ago. And I was really happy to hear that. Remember we walked out of the Piggly Wiggly. It was on Father's Day about 14 years ago.
So it's sometimes, Bill, you can remember some things and other times you can't remember those things.
Evidently.
At least that's what they tell you, right?
Some days are better than others.
Yeah, some days are better than others. And that's what happens, when people are experiencing memory loss. It's not all or nothing,
Every time we went up, we dropped 20,500-pound bombs.
Yeah.
And all that went off outside the airplane. So how many other people have the problem?
Yes, a lot of people that were in Vietnam have a lot of problems. And, I feel so terrible, that they really sacrificed like you did. You sacrificed, so we could have our freedom, and we're very grateful for that. But, there are consequences to everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are.
There's consequences.
I think another difficulty with him living at home before he came down here was that they had him on some medications to help with the memory issues. But a big side effect of them for him, I don't know how, you could probably tell us how common it is, but for him, they seem to make him very anxious, and he was very angry and frustrated a good part of the time. And
I speak loudly
yes,
when people give me a hard time about anything,
yeah.
Especially, where's your water?
Well, now he's much more relaxed and calm because we did discontinue a lot of medications. When he came down, there was a slight difference after that, but it wasn't anything noticeable. And he's still doing very well.
Slight after the surgery, the second surgery?
After we took him off the medications,
All right.
You could see a slight difference, but he's still doing great. But he did break his ankle again last summer, and after that, he wasn't talking for a while. for about a month, and he was.
Is it because Bill, was it because you wouldn't talk or you couldn't talk when you broke your ankle?
Wouldn't, because I was tired of hollering at people.
Okay. So you were, I'm sure, very much in pain. You know, that would be a painful experience, breaking your ankle and having to keep it elevated. And it was probably in a cast. And, you know, so you were probably upset a good amount of the time. And so Celia worried, though, about you because you wouldn't talk to her and she didn't know what was going on in that brain of yours.
Yeah. I think after the anesthesia, being under the anesthesia again.
How many hours was it?
The ankle wasn't as much. The kidney he was under, it was either 6 to 8 hours. I can't remember exactly because I had surgery the same day.
That's right. You were.
So
that was right.
I don't know exactly how long it was for him.
You were there to experience it in the bed next door to him, but we do know that when people undergo anesthesia, especially people that are older, many times after they are through with their operation and the anesthesia wears off, many times there is evidence of additional or actually, you know, increase of memory loss.
What year is it right now?
You're asking me?
I'm asking you.
Are you asking me because you want to see if I know?
Because then I'm going to ask you another number.
Okay. All right. I'll answer you. The year is 2016.
And subtract 75 from that.
Oh, I can't do that on the spot, Bill.
1941.
I know it's 41.
How do you know it's 41?
That's when I was born.
Ah, I knew there was a trick. I knew that was a trick question. You have a good sense of humor, Bill. I think that serves you well, you know.
I'm Irish.
You're Irish. Does that humor kick in a lot of times, Celia? Have you noticed when Bill doesn't remember something, and does he cover up with his humor?
Well, yeah, he likes to joke around. Yeah, that happens quite a bit, but he tells good jokes, so it's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good. You're a good joke teller. Have you always been a joke teller? Did you always like to have fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in your opinion, Celia, his personality, you said he kind of mellowed out a little bit?
He has. He used to be very disciplined from the military, and he was, as he was saying, when he was a substitute teacher, the kids had a hard time with him because he was very by the books, and he expected respect and for them to use their manners, and he was very. The
10th graders just didn't like me.
They didn't like you. So you were a pretty tough disciplinarian. And now Celia says you're a big teddy bear.
He is.
And why do you think you've changed? Is there a reason why you think you changed?
Holding hand.
Oh, you think being affectionate with your girlfriend has helped?
Aw, that's
with Cynthia?
That's sweet. That is wonderful. That's very sweet. Well, we're going to take another quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to ask some more questions of Bill and Celia, and I think this will be very interesting, so we'll be right back.
Okay.
Do you need the advice of an elder law attorney, but perhaps find it difficult or overwhelming getting to appointments? The solution is the Elder Law Department. They bring elder law to you by meeting with you in the comfort of your own surroundings to discuss your personal situation and family needs. In practice since 1994, Heidi Friedman is a member of the Elder Law section of the Florida Bar. She and her team help families with issues that include incapacity and estate planning, asset preservation, veterans benefits, and other legal issues that seniors may face. Call the Elder Law Department at 954-383-1143 954-383-1143. They bring elder law to you. Make First Choice your first choice for home health care. First Choice is state certified for Medicare-covered services such as medical treatment and rehabilitation. Qualified healthcare professionals come to your home and work closely with your doctor to build a care plan designed to get you back on your feet as soon as possible. Founded and operated by registered nurses, First Choice Home Health is dedicated to providing exceptional home health care. Their highly skilled medical professionals have the knowledge and ability to provide patients quality care. Call First Choice Home Health at 561-296-2770. That's 561-296-2770. And tell them you want them as your first choice. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
You're on.
And we're back with Caregiver Solutions Info. I'm talking to Bill and his daughter, Celia. Bill has memory loss, and Bill has joined us talking about his memory loss and what it feels like and how it has affected his life and changed the course of events in their life. And Celia is his primary caregiver. Bill lives now in assisted living at Arden Courts, and Celia actually works at Arden Courts. So you guys have it great because you can see each other every single day, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Most of the time.
Yeah.
She's busy.
Well, yeah, we do keep her pretty busy there. And but it's nice because she doesn't have to leave work to see you. And I think that's great. I mean, to be that close and to be a close relationship like you guys have with daughter and father. And not only are you close in your relationship, but you're close, working where she works and you're there. And I think that's great. So I have some questions, Bill, I'd like to ask you. And you said I could ask you anything, right?
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to shoot some questions at you, and you just tell me what you think, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. The first question is, what makes you happy?
Holding hands with my wife.
That's sweet. That is a very sweet. Okay. What makes you sad? What's that mean? You're moving your hand like you're
Loud talking.
Loud talking.
The black cat shout. They don't talk. They shout.
Okay, when they're talking. Okay, when they're trying to get some things done. I know that when we have fire drills, it gets very loud, and a lot of people are running around and you're helping people. And I understand that because, if you lived in your own home, you wouldn't have those kinds of fire drills. Mm-hmm. But, we have to keep everybody safe and protected. And, it's just something that the state of Florida makes us do. So sometimes it does get loud. And sometimes it does get, intrusive into our quiet time. But unfortunately, we have to do that. Okay, the next question. What makes you feel at peace?
Sleep.
Well, that's a good answer. Sleep does make you feel at peace.
He also goes to Shabbat. He goes to the Christian services. He goes to all the sing-alongs. He goes to all of that. Seems to really relax him. Also,
I go to Shabbat with her, and I go to the Catholic service when the priest comes in.
So, is your wife Jewish?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're Christian. So Catholic.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have you participate in both as a good husband should, right?
Yes.
I've got her married in the church, and I've got her receive communion once. Mm-hmm. But she doesn't understand that.
Yeah, she's still learning.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But she knows the Our Father and the Hail Mary. Or somewhere.
Okay.
in her education.
I think it's really interesting that you met her after you moved into Arden Courts. I don't know who came first.
No,
Oh, you didn't?
no.
Oh, where did you meet her? I forgot what you said.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
Yeah, that was in our building.
Yes, at the
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
at the party.
At the party on
At
St.
we,
Patty's
and
Day.
we danced.
Yes,
Yes.
at the party.
And then we talked for 3 hours in Irish.
Yep.
That's really special. You guys had a connection, a major connection. And do you remember, Celia, who moved in first?
Cynthia was there when he moved in.
Okay.
And
So it's very interesting that when people move into assisted living, even when it's memory care, you find who you connect with. You find who you identify with, who you want to be friends with, who you want to spend time with. And I think it's lovely that you found, your another true love to be together and to, share things and spend time with. And, I just think that's wonderful.
Yes.
Celia, so I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Okay. So being that, all these years you've been really the primary caregiver for your dad, even though he has lived in communities and being in hospital, you were there, rehab, you were there, the memory care, assisted living, you're there. I know before he came to Arden Courts, he lived in a different assisted living. So you were always there for him. And so you're very, very involved and dealing with his memory loss, dealing with all his operations, dealing with all of the medical things that you have to do. That being said, this relationship here, as a caregiver and as a daughter, what makes you happy?
I just spending time with friends and people I care about and laughing,
And spending time with your
him,
dad? Because I
yeah.
know I see you guys all the time laughing
Yeah.
together.
One thing that bothers me, Peggy worked there for 18 months. Then as soon as she learned that I was coming, she left.
Oh.
Well, like I said, things happen for a reason, We don't always know why.
And now you met Cynthia.
Right. Now you met Cynthia. See? So if that hadn't happened, you wouldn't have met Cynthia. So, Celia, next question.
Yes.
Again, dealing with the relationship with dementia and all that's going on. What makes you angry?
Oh, I think
Me.
no.
I was always the disciplinarian.
No, not you so much, but sometimes there's I wish I could explain things or help you more than what I'm able to do. That's I
So you're angry at the disease.
Yes.
Not your dad, but
Right.
you're angry at the disease and how it's affected him because it affects your communication and your relationship.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes you sad?
Sometimes just how things unfold. That
Me.
no, it's not you. You're perfect.
Yeah.
You're fine just the way you are. It's not you.
You're sad
It's
about
just how things are turning out sometimes.
yes, and
Yeah.
and a lot of times out of our control that we
Right.
can't really have any say so in the outcome of things.
Yeah.
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And what
It's not you.
what gives you peace? What makes you sleep at night?
Prayer and meditation.
As a caregiver, I
Yeah.
think that's excellent. You prayer and meditation, taking care of yourself, doing things you mentioned with your friends and your family. Because even though Dad Bill here is in assisted living and he has caregivers to care for his daily needs, you're still his advocate. You're still his family. You're still there to make decisions and to make sure that he gets everything that he needs. So you have to take care of yourself too. And it's not always easy. So I'm glad to know that you do have a life outside of work when I'm
Yes.
not seeing you. And I think that our time is almost up. And I'm so happy, Bill, that you've joined us to talk about your memory loss. What are you hoping for? Are you hoping that one day there'll be a cure for it?
I don't hope that will ever happen. Too many years, too many bombs. We dropped 20,000 bombs every mission.
Yeah. Well, I hope there's never another war, so we don't have to go through that again. And I will say there a little disclaimer here that everything that we talked about that Bill told us was not necessarily 100% accurate. The few things that were described were a little off on time sequencing, and things didn't happen exactly the way we heard it, but that just goes to show, what happens when people have memory loss, that they get confused and they don't always remember exactly all the details. So thank you guys again. We've got to go. Our show's over for today. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, everybody, we'll be back next week with another great show. Call in to Art and Course, get your free 36-hour day book. And in the meantime, give somebody a hug because they need it and so do you.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Caregiver Solutions with Marcia Teele. Join us next week as Marcia, who has 15 years of Alzheimer's disease and dementia care experience, brings you more needed information to help with the care of your loved one. This show can be seen again on caregiversolutions.info, and questions can be left on the site, which may be used on the program to help others. See you next week for more Caregiver Solutions. The opinions expressed on the preceding